Hello and welcome. This is part 4. This has taken many videos, but that's okay. We're going to get it done anyway. Uh, we are in applications now, wrapping up chapter 1. It's probably going to take this one and one more as I look through the notes. The order of operations is after that, and that takes a little bit of time. So part 4, we have William purchasing a vacuum. If you're not sure where we are on page 17 in your notes, the bottom problem. William has a vacuum. I'm sorry, William has $228. He wants a vacuum, and the vacuum is $399. So how much more does he need? So just a real simple application for us. Hopefully, we could figure this out, that we would need to subtract those numbers. And if I did that, remember we go from the right to the left. We subtract that way, down. 9 minus 8 is 1. 9 minus 2 is 7. 3 minus 2 is 1. So that comes out to be $171 is how much more he would need for that problem. So hopefully that's simple enough application to start out for us. This one is a little bit trickier as we move on to page 18. Okay, there's several parts. There's 2 parts to this question, an A part and a B part. So let's look at what's happening. We have a travel club, 176 people. They're going to fly from Los Angeles to Tokyo. Cost of a round trip ticket, $643. It says estimate the total cost of the trip by rounding the cost of the airfare to the nearest 10. Okay, so part A, we're going to round it to the nearest 10. We're going to see what the estimated cost is. And then part B, what they do here is they want us to estimate the total cost, but this time they want to round the cost of the airfare and the number of travelers to the nearest 100, and then we'll consider the difference between the two. So let's do part A first, bottom of page 18 for you. Estimate the total cost of the trip by rounding the cost of the airfare to the nearest 10 and the number of travelers to the nearest 10 as well. So if I did that, 176, that's about 180, 643, that's about 640. Okay, so now if I was going to find the total cost, we would be multiplying those two numbers. You have about 180 people, and each of those 180 people are going to spend about $640, and that is a result of 115,200. Now we could multiply that out longhand. We talked about that earlier in previous videos. So that's the solution to A. Round it to the nearest 10 gives us this amount. It's not exact, but it's close. And then part B asks us to do the same question, but this time, instead of rounding to the 10, we round to the nearest 100, which again, we learned how to round to the nearest 100. Remember, we look here, that's the hundreds. We look to the right, that's greater than 5, so that number goes up to a 2, and the rest becomes 0. So that's about 200. Did the same thing here. Look here, that's less than 5, so that stays the same, and you put all zeros. Multiply those together, we get about 120,000. The interesting thing about this question is, you might be asked, well, which of those is the better estimate? Well, depends what you mean, but the closer to the real value is the first one, because we rounded off to a smaller place value. This one is not as close, but the math is a lot easier, because essentially you're really just multiplying 2 times 6, and you're just putting that many zeros on the end of the answer. It's not quite as close to the actual amount, but you could do it in your head a little bit faster, and that's kind of the point of that. Moving on to the bottom of page 19, let's talk about exponential notation. Here's exponential notation. This is the number. It asks us to do 2 things. It says write the expression in exponential notation and then evaluate the expression. Okay. This is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So you have 3 multiplied 4 times. Okay, 3 to the power of 4, that is your exponential notation. Okay, when it's written as a power, it's exponential. Okay, if you're asked to evaluate it, evaluate basically means turn it into a number, all the way down to one single number, which means you actually need to multiply it out. So you did this math right here. You went 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. And in case you forgot, the little dot there, that's how we actually write multiplication. So if you just take 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, that is 81, which is what this means here. That means 3 multiplied 4 times. So if we look at number 2 here, that's 5 to the third. That's exponential. That's part A. And then evaluated, B, 5 times 5 times 5. It's 125. Again, this is a great place to hit pause, test yourself, and see if you can do those accurately, and come back and see if you get the right answers. And here they are. Take a minute, look it over, see if you agree with the solutions. All right, this is exponential notation. I'm actually going to stop this video here because we're going to hit order of operations next, and that's going to take some time, and I'm afraid this video could get a bit long if I go into it. Maybe, maybe not, but I think that's the best thing to do. So that wraps up part 4, and then part 5, the last part will be the order of operations, which is probably the hardest part of the test. So see you soon.